Let me tell you something, folks. I know luxury cars. I've driven the German brands. I paid the prices. And then I got into a Genesis. And I said, wait a second. This is luxury. The look, the performance, the comfort, whether it's a sleek G70, I love that car, or the GV80 with that third row, these are high-end vehicles with payments that actually make sense. Go see Michael. Tell him Sid sent you. Genesis of Brooklyn. Find him at genesisofbrooklyn.com. Every time this gentleman comes on, I introduce him as my favorite homosexual. Yesterday, I had Wyatt Imus on the program, who reminded me that his late great father, Don Imus, referred to this guy as the Rear Admiral. Either way, he's a brilliant, gorgeous, great man, loyal friend, and now the ambassador in Belgium. The Belgians, of course, beat us in soccer last night, so I couldn't wait to talk to the great Bill White this morning. And here he is, live from Greece. We'll get to that in just a moment. The great Bill White. Bill, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good, Sid. The Honorable Sid Rosenberg, the greatest radio talk show guy out there. Congratulations on all the success. I love you. I miss you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Bill. I'll be inducted into the New York Broadcasting Hall of Fame this October, and I wish you could be there, you and Brian. I really do. But either way, you played such an integral part of my career, dating back to the days on the Intrepid with Imus and that whole crew. And you just heard me mention Wyatt. I've kind of got Deirdre and Wyatt back in my life, and they love you. I know you with Deirdre just a couple of weeks ago. So all that seems to come back around, Bill?
Yes, sir. It's funny. You said Imus called me the Rear Admiral. My mother called me right after this, and she says, William, do you understand what Imus said? Doesn't he know that you're not in the military? And I said, well, Mom, yes, he does. And she said, oh, gross. And she hung the phone up. Anyway, that's Imus for you. But you, my friend, I will tell you this. You're one of the most strongest supporters of President Trump. You're fighting for him everywhere. Strongest supporter of Israel like I am. I follow your lead. There is no room, no daylight in between our thinking. And, yes, it's true that Belgium did win. But if we were going to be beat, I hate to say that, our team's a great team. It's nice to give a victory to some of our best friends. And Belgium is one of our best friends. We have a $150 billion trade relationship with Belgium. It's the headquarters of NATO. It's the capital of the EU. We're about to sign almost $1 trillion trade deal with the EU. It's passing. So this is all good news coming out of our relationship, despite what the media is trying to say, Sid. President Trump put the screws to everybody, and it's working. So, Europe sometimes doesn't like the exact way that President Trump might say something. I love it, how he says it, everything he says, because he's getting it done. If he asked them nicely to spend money on NATO, their own defense, they'd never do it. So he made them do it. And now there's $1 trillion, $1 trillion with a T, that Mark Rutte and the EU countries are able to spend on their defense because of Donald Trump. So things are great in Europe, and we're about to have the NATO summit, and the boss is flying over today.
Yeah, no, he's there already. But I want to go back to Belgium for 1 second. Then I do want to touch on the NATO summit because you mentioned Israel, and they are watching this very, very closely, and I'll tell you why, Bill. But, it got a little testy when President Trump went out of his way to make sure that our leading goal scorer played last night. Balagin, it didn't matter. They beat us easily, Belgium, 5-2 in the friendly game a month ago. Beat us easily again last night, 4-1. So they've proven Belgium they're a much better soccer team than we are. That's the bottom line. But I know that the Belgian players, for example, they were giving Donald Trump the business when they won last night. So I know you're in Greece this morning, but I have to imagine that they partied in the streets of Belgium last night because they really wanted to beat the Americans, yes?
They did. And something very nice, I spoke to my head of security for diplomatic security. I was just a little, happy and concerned because as ambassador, I'm responsible for the 800 U.S. Citizens and the 1,900 U.S. service members that live in Belgium. They're under my care and concern. There were people at the U.S. Embassy cheering, celebrating outside our embassy. So, look, the Belgian people are very nice. They are big football fans. They won fair and square. I think they're much happier that this guy who got the red card, Boligan, was playing, because if they did win and he wasn't playing, I think people would say, well, they didn't really play the U.S. team. They played part of it. So I think it all works out in the end. I don't like what people are saying, criticizing President Trump. He didn't interfere. He just asked for a review. And as president of the United States of America, he has a right to ask for that. He didn't tell them to put him back in. He said, please review it. And Gianni Infantino put out a statement that the president called him, yes, but they were already reviewing this, and you saw the results. So I think all in all, fair and square, Belgium won. Congratulations. Let's go on to the next one. By the way, the King of Belgium called me yesterday, His Majesty King Philippe, and he is now traveling to the United States to see the next game in the United States of his team, which I think is a great honor for the team and an honor for the United States to have His Majesty the King come to America. Sid, he's very grateful that the United States saved his kingdom twice, first from the Germans in one, and then from the Nazis in World War II. He's a great guy, and I'd love you to meet him. Actually, if he's in New York, we should arrange an interview.
Oh, I would love to do that. This is the great ambassador in Belgium, Bill White. I'd love to meet the king of Belgium. I really would. And they're going to take on Spain the end of the week. And I'm rooting for Belgium now because I saw a picture yesterday, Bill White, of a big rally in Spain where they had a huge sign. When I say a huge sign, Bill, I mean the sign was as big as Belgium, which said basically death to Israel. So we know, we've got, listen, I know you're high on Europe and President Trump. You're 100% right, is improving what's going on there, and they're becoming more accountable and paying more money. But the anti-Semitism factor in Europe is a disaster, and Spain may be right there at the very top of the list.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I don't want to let that go over. You're 100% right. We don't have a perfect relationship, right? But we're all humans, and we need to improve. But this is a very big problem, Sid, in Europe, and I know you're focused on this. I want you to know I'm fighting so hard here. We have a moilim. This is the rabbi that performs the bris milal, which is the circumcision in the Jewish tradition. And there is a prosecutor who's a zealous prosecutor. He's the son of a bitch. I'm after him. They don't like when I interfere with these things, but I'm not going to stop until he drops the prosecution or he releases these charges. But this man has performed safely thousands of circumcisions, and they're prosecuting him for mutilation of a child. So this is an anti-Semitic prosecution. The Belgians don't like to admit this, but that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm fighting for this a man who happens to have been born in Brooklyn, so he's a U.S. citizen, and I will not stop, Sid, I promise you, until we get him cleared of these charges, because it is anti-Semitic to prosecute a Moyle for doing his job that they've been doing for 3,000 years, for Christ's sake.
Oh, God bless you, Bill. Seriously, God bless you. I love you so much. You're such a terrific guy. You really are. And that brings me to Israel and Bibi Netanyahu. You know, again, I know you're with Kimberly Guilfoyle this morning in Greece. I guess you're going to make that 2-hour flight over to Turkey. That's my assumption here, to see President Trump at the NATO summit. And Bibi has made it very, very clear to President Trump, do not give F-53s to Erdogan. So I know the president likes to keep his enemies close. I get it. Even Mamdani, it bothers the hell out of me. It really does. I've complained to Trump about that because I hate Mamdani's guts. But whether it's Putin or in this case Erdogan, who's not a good guy, in fact, he's a bad guy, ask the Greeks, ask the Israelis, Bibi does not want Trump giving Erdogan F-53s. Any opinion on that story, which is now a big story here in America?
I do trust, like with my heart and soul. You know, I've known President Trump for 35 years. You have known him for the same. It goes way back. I was 22 years old. He gave me $1 million of his own money to save the Veterans Day Parade. I've been working with him hand in glove since then. I'm 59. He's an amazing man. He loves Israel. He wants to have peace 100%. No one to bring peace to these places except Donald Trump, because it just has not happened for all these years. The UN, all the efforts, the past presidents, he's the only one. So I do trust him, Sid, emphatically and with my heart and my soul, and he will do the right thing. I think we all have to do that, and we have to have some patience to let him work these important angles so that it will have a lasting peace.
What else do you think is on the docket, Bill White, for Trump at this NATO summit? Obviously, we saw Starmer walk out a couple of weeks ago. I hope and pray that somewhere in the near future, my friend Nigel Farage takes charge there in the UK. But what do you expect will be at the very top of the list that Trump wants to get done as you join him in Turkey later on today?
Well, I think the main message, which is going to be resounding, I could just imagine, Sid, and by the way, I agree with you about Mamdani, the city that I love. He's just destroying it piece by piece. So I hope people will get straight the next time, coming from the gay guys saying that they need to get straight, and they need to go vote in the primary. They can't let the healthcare union elect some clown like this guy in the primary, and they have to vote for someone who's a business person who will save New York, because it's going down in the toilet. Well,
let me stop you right there before you get to what you think is at the very top of the list of what Trump wants to accomplish at the NATO summit today. I've had real discussions about running. Now, look, I'm about to hopefully do a new radio deal, and I've got other deals down the road. So I'm at the point in my career, I'm going to the Hall of Fame in October. I could finally start making a lot of money, But there's a lot of people, from Bruce Blakeman, who's running for governor, to Lara Trump, the president's daughter-in-law, who really want to see me run for mayor in 2029. I even sent a text to President Trump asking him his opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, as you know, because I don't want to be in violation of the Hatch Act, just in case the FBI and the State Department and the CIA are listening.
Which they are.
Which they might be. But when I am out, Sid, I would love to talk to you about that. That's 2028. You're a great friend. You're a great patriot. You love the city so much that you live, work, and have your family in. And so we need candidates who love New York City and who are not communists and socialists. That's all I'll say, because I think that's a good way to end that. But
I think so too. Yeah.
But I love you, Sid. So
we'll talk. We'll talk in private.
Yes.
But getting back to NATO, what is at the very top of Trump's list? You think?
So importantly, and this is directly from the president himself. I don't like to interpret what he says. I like to repeat exactly what he says, because he's very clear. He's consistent. NATO has finally stood up. I'll give you an example. Belgium was at 1.1% of GDP on spending for NATO as a percentage. It has to be at 5%. They did agree. They have more than doubled their expenditures in the last 12 months, which is a miracle. This country of Belgium did not plan to double their defense budget. And because of President Trump, they did. And they're now more ready for a conflict, God forbid, if Russia were to go that way or other adversaries. Belgium is on its way to the 5%, and that's a miracle. So if he doesn't keep the pressure on, when we're doing Operation Epic Fury, you've heard him say, where was NATO when I needed to land a plane? Instead of refueling, which is dangerous in the air, it would have been nice to land at one of these bases, that the United States basically paid for, right? And they didn't do it. So I think he's going to be tough, as he should be. I think he's going to deliver a strong message, but he'll do it, in the Donald Trump respectful way to get them to act. Because if he asked them nicely, they would never do a damn thing. Because he has to be firm. That's the way he's getting things done. I'm so proud of him. I love the man. We've never had a better president in the history of our country.
Great.
And I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow at NATO. I think he's going to make NATO stronger, better, and more prosperous.
Final 60 seconds, a great Bill White. And I mentioned Spain earlier. They were one of those countries that did not allow us to land. Italy as well. That was a big shock. But on the way out, Bill, again, you're spending time with Brian in Belgium. You're our ambassador. But you're a New Yorker through and through, the intrepid all those years. You love the United States. I know you lived in Florida, too. I know your whole history. But you ever see yourself maybe staying in Europe? Or when this ambassadorship is done, is Bill White going to be back in America the very next morning?
Aha. Oh, that's a good question, Sid. I think
you.
you and I should sit together. Yeah, you always have the best questions. You're one of the smartest guys on the radio, too. And one of the most good-looking. Like, if I were straight, we should talk. But in all seriousness, people have said, hey, Bill, you should run for office. Bill, you should be running this, this operation. I ran the $12 billion real estate investment trust. I ran the Intrepid for 20 years, took it to 1 million paid visitors, raised $2 billion for our nation's veterans and fallen heroes. So I think the future is bright for Brian and I thank God for all the blessings we have. We're very lucky. We just sold our company, which is called Ghost Protein, to Keurig for $2.5 billion. Very proud of my friends Ryan Hughes and Dan Larenko at Ghost for doing that. I'll send you a case of the Ghost Energy. I'm sure the guys listening in the studio say, please don't send Sid any caffeine. Please don't do that. But you're going to love the flavors. So I think the future is bright for you and me. Who knows? Maybe we do something fun together.
Oh, that sounds amazing. We will talk. At any rate, you're doing a tremendous job in Belgium, and have some fun with Kimberly and the president the next couple of days, a very important NATO summit. You are just one of the best people. I mean this, Bill, just one of the best people I've ever met. I couldn't love you more than I do. So thank you for hopping on from Greece this morning, and we will talk again very, very soon. Bill White, I love you. Thank you.
Love you, Sid. You have the best listeners in all of radio and all of New York. And God bless you and your team and your family. Can't wait to see you soon. God bless America.
God bless America. There he is, folks, the amazing ambassador in Belgium on his way to the NATO summit today, my dear friend Bill White. We'll take a short break. More of the Tuesday edition of Sid and Friends in the morning right after these words.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Anyone can sell electronics. At Electronics Expo, they do more than sell products. They design, install, and support complete technology solutions. From home theaters and whole home audio to lighting, shades, automation, networking, security cameras, and premium entertainment systems. For over 22 years, they've helped thousands of homeowners experience technology at its very best. See the difference for yourself. Visit their Wayne or Paramus stores in New Jersey or shop now at electronicsexpo.com.